Sansalone.
I'm Neghar Fonooni.
And we're with Optimum Performance Training Institute. And what I wanted to do is come up with a second follow-up to Neghar's awesome Turkish get-up tutorial that you already have seen, hopefully. She did a fantastic job really breaking down the Turkish get-up and really explaining every move and every detail very clearly and giving great insight into each position and posture and alignment and movements very well. What we wanted to do is we went back and looked at it, just thought we could add a couple of things to it, a couple of key mistakes that we see that we wanted to just go over a little bit more in detail. So this will be kind of part two of the Turkish get-up, and where you just look at these couple of little details right here. And the first one is the very first move in the Turkish get-up. We see a lot of problems with the first move with people really not quite understanding how to get themselves up with integrity on that first move onto their elbow. We wanted to go over that and show first a couple of the mistakes we commonly see. We'll try to show it from a couple of different angles and then show what we need to do to make sure those mistakes don't happen. So get Neghar down on the ground. Let's go sideways to the camera there, on that side there. So the very first move, she already talked about progress up the vertical and shoulder packing, and she already talked about how to set it up. So the very first move has to be done with integrity and with strength and with breath in order to have proper tension to go up properly. But really most importantly is people, what they often do with this move is they either try to sit up too straight and overcome a load straight up like that, and it really collapses their torsos and the weight pushes down on them, and it's really hard to overcome weight, especially when you get more weight as you advance, straight up like that. And the other thing we see too much of is way too much rolling over. People will really roll to the point where they're laying on their left side and then try to get up, and again you have the same kind of problem with them from a lateral standpoint. People get pushed down by the laterally, so you really need to think of it as a diagonal movement. And we know the body is connected in diagonals, shoulder to opposite hip on both sides of the body. So we need to really focus on that diagonal drive from shoulder to opposite hip, really right down into that opposite foot, into that heel, right down on the ground, while she drives with this heel and this leg right down onto this elbow right here. And what that'll do is fire the muscles on the posterior side of the body better and on the front side of the body better and connect them together and give her a really good diagonally strong movement upwards onto her elbow. Okay, so what she'll do is go ahead and do that and show that at personal breath and drive onto that arm. And notice this alignment here at the shoulder packed. But that's really important thing. And look at how tall spine she is. The muscles on the posterior side of the body now are engaged, providing integrity against any kind of load that's being pushed down on here right now. Now she didn't do that. Just let herself kind of sit up in more of a collapsed look to her body, and we push down on that. The arm might stay stiff, but the body will give it. You'll see this buckling in the body. It's pushing down. It will occur over and over again like that. So we really want to make sure we emphasize getting those posterior muscles involved, the lats, the glute, that lat to opposite glute connection on the back side, and that shoulder to front hip connection on the front side at the same time. So it's not an upward movement, it's not sitting up, and it's not a rollover, it's a diagonal movement, driving through those diagonal lines that are naturally part of our anatomy. Go ahead and do it one more time with a good breath, and notice the integrity is driving up on to the left elbow, onto the left forearm. Integrity there from that lat. Integrity back here on his right glute, because she's pushing from that right glute, and we have that glute to opposite lat connection. Let's show it from the front side. The same thing. And you can see this a little bit more, hopefully, from the front side here, just what's happening in that diagonal motion. You'll see that she doesn't come straight up, she doesn't roll over, it's very much a diagonal drive right up onto that left elbow. Good, and back down. And I'm just looking at the camera, make sure you guys can see that real good while she does it. And then, pull your hips over this way. Yeah, now do it there. Okay, notice the 45-degree angles of the leg and arm, and that nice diagonal drive. Okay, one more time. Really good diagonal drive, okay? The other mistake we commonly see, let's turn back this way in this first move, other than just people collapsing and trying to sit straight up, like one crunchy sit-up version of it, or that rolling over instead of getting those diagonals really engaged and powering themselves up with breath in that diagonal, is the arm. But oftentimes, instead of driving up onto the arm with the diagonal, pull the arm underneath, pull it into this weird internal rotation, and kind of suck it up underneath themselves and throw it up in their necks to try to make it easier for them to bring the arm closer. Instead of going to the arm, they bring the arm underneath. And what that'll look like, the person drives the elbow underneath and the shoulder comes up in the neck. Go ahead and demonstrate the arm. You see that. Do a little bit slower, more deliberate. Pulling up the arm, bending up the arm until like an internal rotation stretch of the shoulder. Yeah, that's it. Let's show that from the front also. Hopefully you can see the left arm come up like so as she tries to get up. And let's pull that arm into that position there. Yeah. be right at the front of the turf for this. And we'll show you from the front first, and then we'll give you a good side view of this, because the side view really is where you can start to see what we're trying to emphasize here. So, coming down from the lunge, the arm over the head, and she'll step back and with her left leg and do her traditional reverse lunge down to a proper get-up position. Now, the most important thing here is going down to the hand. What we want to do is emphasize loading and moving through the hips, keeping the spine, the pelvis nice and stable. So what you have to do first here is make sure you turn the back foot so that it's forming a straight line across to the knee, and then the hand moves down right in line with it. Neghar already explained this in the first Turkish get-up video. What we want to emphasize, go ahead and back up, is that that foot turns first, and then what you see here, before she goes down, is you start to see the hips hinge back, the spine stays straight as she finds the force of the movements through the hips, and then come back up, Neghar, and just do that again. You have to turn the foot, let's just do it from the turn foot position. Hip hinge, and then go back up, keep the foot here, hip hinge. This can even be one of the drills to practice getting people to learn that unloaded, maintaining good thoracic spine position, maintaining good shoulder positions, and learning to hinge through the hips. Come back up. Emphasize the hinge. One more time coming back. There's that good hinge, loading up the hips. What we commonly see sometimes people do is they'll go up and they'll be in the lunge position right here. So it says she'll back up in the lunge. And what they'll do is they won't move their foot at all. They won't set themselves up to actually be able to hinge through the hips by turning the foot and then sitting back in the hips. They'll just bend over in their spines right here. They'll just bend over laterally through the spine, and that, especially if there's a lot of weight right there when she starts to go down, one of two things will happen. Come back up. When the weight is pushing them down, they'll get literally just knocked right over to it by the weight pushing down. Just knock them right over, boom, and they'll get all thrown out of position. And then it's really hard to recover and set yourself up for the next move because you've just been knocked out of position, out of alignment by that weight. The other thing is it really puts a lot of stress through the lateral portions of the spine, and really down into the SI joint. Gets cranked laterally, especially under a lot of weight there. And then your hip starts getting cranked on too because you haven't moved any of those structures into their proper aligned positions to be able to move right. So come on back up. So it's really, really important that she turns the foot first. That will allow her to be able to sit the hips out and drive the hips back into that position that she needs to be in. Now it'll be very easy for her to give you good integrity here on this leg and sit through with this leg. Okay? So that's really an important piece to emphasize there. Okay? And then the third thing is in that same position. The last thing we really want to work on in correcting, so just last thing. The third thing we really want to emphasize here on this third position is making sure that the kinetic chain between the foot, knee, and hip is respected and maintained, that there's no knee caving in and no collapse there. Again, if that collapses as she starts to go over, the tendency will just be to fall right on over because she's lost all integrity on her base leg. Because this leg really becomes a solid base. Go ahead into the move with the arms over the head. Turn the foot, hinge the hips, load down there. The base here becomes the right arm. That's why it's so important where you put your right arm, and so important to have good integrity here between this foot, knee, and this hip, because that has to be a solid base. Because for a moment, she needs to support herself right on that, and on this arm, go ahead and stick her leg through into the sitting position. If that's not there, the person's going to become very wobbly. Obviously, we have problems that can occur with the knee over time with this, and we are obviously going to have a really hard time moving very efficiently from move to move, as you can see in that attempt to do that. Okay? So what we want to do here is, if the person is caving their knee in a lot, one of the things we can do is start tapping into the RNT, reactive neuromuscular training concept, and just provide a little bit of resistance or feedback by pushing the person into, or putting resistance into the mistake. So if her knee is caving in, we can start to push that knee in a little bit, and she will have to provide a little bit of resistance against it. Now, if we push too hard or provide too much resistance, it becomes a situation where we're going to just push her right over and knock her over. So it can't be too much resistance. It can't be not enough that she can't recognize and her brain can't feel. So the key with RNT is we're trying to affect the nervous system and get it to respond by firing those hip rotators, those hip abductors, as we know, and hold that leg's position. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to provide a little RNT, pretending that she's caving in her knee. And I'm going to push in against it. Go ahead and get up into the position. Up into this lunge position. Arm overhead. And I'm going to push a little bit against her knee. Go ahead and kick her knee just a little. I'm just going to push against it a little bit. Hopefully, I'll push enough that I can get her to kick her knee against my hand. Just enough. And then do the move with this maintained feeling right here. Okay? And then back up into the proper position. You move this foot over just a little wider here towards me. Yeah? And it's just a little bit of push, as I'm going to do. She's not going to push against me. She's just going to keep her knee there and resist me from pushing her in. Just a little bit I'm going to give her as she goes through the motion again. She'll turn the foot, mistake a little bit, okay? So she's going to resist now, me caving her in and pulling her into that mistake. Right there, as I pull. Now, I can't pull too hard, I'll just knock her right over. It's going to be completely useless. There's supposed to be feedback. It's supposed to be something that affects her nervous system. So I just want to give a little bit of feedback and have her maintain that as she turns and goes. And not let her hips kick out or her knee cave in. And then she can try to maintain that and go back up. And this can be an exercise right here in and of itself. Okay? And do it one more time. Foot turns, hinge the hip, maintain this, don't cave that in. And then come back up. And her hip rotators, and relax for a second, and glute medius will really start to fire quite a bit. So that can be a good drill for people that just have a little motor control issue with controlling that knee from caving in. Either with your hand or with the Great Cook band. But you got to make sure with RNT, when you start trying to insert stability like that with a band or insert some kind of motor control to the nervous system, that the nervous system can communicate properly with those muscles, and that means no restrictions, no mobility restrictions are present. If the hip has an abduction restriction, that restriction is going to overwhelm anything. You're not going to put their knee out there anyway, and you have to clear out stuff like that first before you can even do that, because there's no way they can get their knee in that position to begin with if they have a restriction there. So making sure there's no restrictions there, or even really up and down the chain, so the brain can really easily communicate with those muscles, and then that feedback will work. That feedback won't work though if they have a bunch of restrictions and they're kind of stuck in this position through restriction. Okay? So again, clear out restrictions first, do a little RNT if needed on that part, and those are the three things in particular that we wanted to demonstrate and go over just as correction. The problems we see commonly with those moves in the get-up. And anything you want to add to those moves? Okay. Yeah. So we have two now tutorials on the get up. The first one Neghar did, which was fantastic, really takes you through the whole thing, and then just a few key corrections here that we wanted to kind of go over after watching it. And also, someone made a great comment about how we needed to not wear clothing that matched the floor, so you can actually see everything. Yeah.
So you mean watch the first video if you haven't watched the first video yet. I would definitely recommend watching that first video to just kind of get the basics. And then these three corrections are going to really deepen your practice a little bit more. It's a lot to take in all at once. It's deceptively complex. So watch the first video, get the basics down, and then start to add in some of the more specific corrections to really deepen your practice.
Yeah. And make sure your first time going through a get-up is naked, meaning no weight on your hand.
And not just the first time.
And really not the first time. Until you have it down well. No load, no resistance, going through it either with a shoe, like Neghar mentioned in the first video, or something, or nothing, and just working on these concepts. Because getting the movement mechanics correct really is what's in the benefit of the get-up here. Okay. All right, thanks.